What's going on YouTube? This is V85 here, and I'm finally back, and I'm doing a brand new deck profile for a deck that I'm testing out right now, and I absolutely love this deck. Of course, you know, you can tell by the front monster, front and center is Watts, and it's an archetype that I've always loved. I've built this deck like 3, 4, 5 times or so, different incarnations. Like one of my favorite incarnations I actually built was a chain burned Watt variant, which was really trolly. It was extremely controlling, and it was just very inconsistent though. So it was very hit or miss. This deck, however, is not hit or miss whatsoever. This is a very dominating deck. I took it to locals this weekend and did 3-1, and I played Dino Rabbit and Chaos Dragons and Dragonsworn and Heretics with it. You know, decks that should absolutely pulverize this deck. And only lost one of those, and that was to Dragonsworn. So it was really interesting to see if this deck would actually work in a very fast-paced meta. So, but I'm very happy with it, and so yeah, let's get into the monsters and shit. So, first of all, 3 Wattcobras. Wattcobra is pretty much like the Stratos of the deck. Imagine playing E-Call, and then it does 1,000 damage. So that's pretty much what Wattcobra does, except you can do it every turn. So this guy is just absolutely super abusive. It attacks your opponent directly, so you don't have to worry about your opponent's monsters. And then when it does direct attack, you can add a Watt monster from your deck to your hand. So what this does, it immediately sets you up for your Watthopper locks, and that's pretty much like the kill condition for this entire deck, is to set up a lock as quickly as possible and attack your opponent as quickly as possible as well. So after you set up your hopper lock, you pretty much summon one of these guys and then just add your direct attackers to hand and just keep on pulverizing them over and over again. So the strength of force in this deck escalates exponentially every turn. So if your opponent doesn't draw like the only answers for this deck, like Dark Hole or Torrentials or even a Mirror Force in that sense, then they have no options. So it gets really horrendous really quickly. I've got one teched Wattpheasant. Sorry, I'm pretty tired. But one teched Wattpheasant because I don't have my Wattgiraffe yet. It's still in the mail, and I got impatient and decided to tech this guy in. This guy is really great right now versus Xyz. Pretty much what it does, it attacks directly as well, and then if it inflicts damage via direct attack, you can remove one of your opponent's monsters from their side field and banish it until the end phase. When you do this to Xyz monsters, the Xyz loses its material automatically, and then it comes back with no material. So you imagine doing this to a wind-up Zen mains. It loses its material and it can no longer protect itself or blow up shit. Same thing with like Acid Golem. It can no longer attack, and your opponent's going to be doing 1,000 to himself every standby phase. So abuse on Wattpheasant becomes very crucial with this, especially when you're playing stuff like Heretics or Dino Rabbit, like those monsters that absolutely have to have your Xyz to work. Okay, next is we're getting into your kill conditions. These are Watthoppers. Watthopper is an absolutely amazing monster, and like I said, this sets up your kill condition. This guy specifically says your opponent cannot select another face-up Watt monster as an attack target or target them with card effects. So pretty much what this says is that it creates a situation if you have 2 of these on the field, it doesn't matter the position or anything like that, but if you have 2 of these guys on the field, your opponent cannot attack your Watt monsters, or they can't target them with effects. So that's why I said that cards like Dark Hole or Torrential or Monster Reborn become their only options, because they have to use non-targeting destruction and to get rid of your fields. And you play lots and lots of outs to cards like that in this deck. So with your opponent's limited options, and you have more backup than your opponent has those options, it becomes a very lethal combination if your opponent can't deal with it. Next we get into the floaters. for the deck, and you play 6 floaters, pretty much. You play 3 Wattdragonflies and 3 Shining Angels. Pretty much what these guys do, I mean, they pretty much interchange for each other. They're slightly different, though. Shining Angel has to be destroyed by attack if to get his effect, and then you can special summon a light monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck in face-up attack position. But what that allows you to do, it allows you to target, or it allows you to tutor into your dragonflies or into your hoppers if you really need to. There's multiple ways to tutor into hoppers and create these lockdowns, and if you guys want me to, I can create another video showing you how to create these lockdowns and how to win with this deck, because it's really easy. This build itself, I was surprised if I didn't have a lockdown by turn 4 latest. So it's very fast. Wattdragonfly is similar to Shine Angel, but it's different at the same time. This guy says that if it's destroyed by battle or by your opponent's card effect, you can special summon a Watt from your deck. So if they Dark Hole with this on the field, it activates. If they Warning this, it activates. If they Solemn Judgment it activates. It doesn't matter. If it's destroyed, or, I mean, it can be banished in that same way. If they have macro on the field and they destroy it, you still get the effect of special summon. So it's a really broken floater. And to round out the monster lineup, play triple effect failures, because those monster effects can still be pretty devastating. If your opponent decides just to drop a Judgment Dragon or drop some kind of monster that's going to screw you up, then effect failure is always nice to have in hand. Starting with the spells. 2 Shard of Greed. This is pretty much like the MST Magnet. That's pretty much like its biggest thing that it does. If you can get off the draw effect, that's amazing. But the thing is, you're pretty much going to protect this thing with Huge Revolutions over and Dark Bribes and shit like that. So if you don't get the effect, it's okay. It's not one big loss. But if you do get the effect, it's even better. 2 Pot of Duality. I mean, it's Pot of Duality. What can you say? 2 Messenger of Peace. It's an old card, but it's still amazing. Pay 100 during your standby phase, and nothing over 1500 attack can attack. So none of your guys are 1500 or more. So all your guys get underneath this, and with all the big meta decks out there, there's hardly anything that goes underneath this. So it's really good. Bunch of one-ofs. Book of Moon, Dark Hole, Avarice, 1-for-1, and Reborn. 1-for-1 is for going into your Exceeds, or not Exceeds, into your Watthoppers. And 2 MSTs, because I really hate Decrees and Skill Drains, and that's getting played a lot now. So on the traps really quick. This is one of the best cards in the entire deck. Huge Revolution is over. This is pretty much like a very much upgraded version of Starlight Road. What it does, if 2 or more cards would be destroyed on the field, not your side of the field, on the field altogether, you can activate this, negate the effect, and destroy and banish that card. So it banishes like Judgment Dragons and Black Roses and shit like that. So that's cool. Get there. 2 Dark Bribes. It pretty much does the same thing as Huge Revolution. It's just negates spells and traps, so that would get in your way. 1 Mirror Force, just for added protection. More counter traps. You play like 7 counter traps in this entire deck. So no, actually 8. So it's pretty cool. So those are pretty self-explanatory. And 2 Fiendish Chains. It's pretty much like the same thing as effect failure. You have to worry about your opponent's card effects, and if you have like a lone Wattcobra on the field or something like that, you really need to keep it alive. So you Fiendish Chain your opponent's monsters to keep them alive, so you can keep on setting up. So yeah, that's pretty much like the deck profile. Don't worry about an extra deck. It's pretty generic. It's just pretty much like generic Synchros and Exceeds. Nothing fancy or anything like that. In fact, you hardly ever use them. So comment down below. Tell me what you think. What do you think about Watts? Do you think that they'll be viable in the next format? And what do you think of the archetype altogether? So, like I said, comment, like, subscribe, and do your thing. This is Vulturous85. Over and out.